Magic can be thrilling and mesmerizing, but it can also be deadly. In this video, we'll look at 5 real stories of magicians who died while performing their tricks. From stunts gone wrong to unforeseen accidents, these tales reveal the risks behind the illusions. It was Halloween night, October 31st, 1990, in Fresno, California. Joseph the Amazing Joe Burris, a 32-year-old magician, prepared to perform a daring buried alive stunt. He was ambitious and dreamed of surpassing his idol, Harry Houdini. That night, Burris aimed to prove he was destined for greatness. The event was a fundraiser at Blackbeard's Family Fun Center, benefiting the 3rd floor, a local drug rehabilitation clinic. Burris had battled addiction in the past, making the cause deeply personal. The performance symbolized his recovery and determination to move forward. At 9:30 p.m., around 150 people, including Burris's ex-wife, 2 sons, and parents, gathered to watch. Wearing a white tuxedo, he began the show with smaller tricks to entertain the crowd before attempting the main act. The stunt was inspired by Houdini's buried alive escape, but included an added challenge: wet cement. Burris claimed this twist would make it more dangerous and unforgettable. The coffin was a clear plastic glass box that Burris had built himself. Inside, he would be chained, handcuffed, and locked. The plan was to lower the coffin into a 7-foot grave, cover it with 3 feet of dirt, and top it off with 3 feet of wet cement. In total, the mixture of dirt and cement weighed about 7 tons. Experts later revealed that the coffin was poorly designed, lacking steel reinforcements. Burris had only tested it by jumping on it, but he remained confident. He told the audience that he believed he was the next Houdini and even greater. Burris appeared calm as he climbed into the coffin. His team secured him with chains and locks before lowering him into the grave. A video camera captured the scene and displayed it on a large screen for the audience. As workers began shoveling dirt over the coffin, Burris knocked to signal them to stop and requested adjustments to a chain around his neck. Once satisfied, he gave a thumbs up and the burial resumed. The first 3 feet of dirt went as planned, but when the cement truck began pouring the wet mixture, disaster struck. The weight of the materials overwhelmed the coffin. Witnesses heard a loud crack as the box shattered, causing the grave to collapse. Burris was trapped under tons of debris. Sean Henderson, a member of the 3rd floor who helped with the stunt, recalled that as soon as the truck pulled away, the entire setup dropped. The cement busted the coffin, burying Burris alive. Panic spread as Burris's team, friends, and family tried to dig him out. A photographer covering the event used her camera light to assist rescuers, but the heavy cement made the process painfully slow. Despite their frantic efforts, it was too late. Paramedics eventually recovered Burris's lifeless body. The coroner later confirmed he had died from asphyxia caused by chest compression. There was no dirt in his lungs, meaning he suffocated before being able to escape. Concrete was found under his fingernails, showing he had desperately tried to break free. Burris's assistants later admitted that he had noticed a crack in the coffin before the stunt but chose to proceed. His son, Joe, explained that Burris was on his way up when everything came crashing down. He made it out but couldn't escape the grave in time. The tragedy was preventable. Burris's coffin was not strong enough to withstand the weight of the dirt and cement. It had no steel reinforcements and was held together with glue. Experts criticized Burris for failing to calculate the material's weight or conduct proper tests. Magician John Lewis remarked that escape was different from stage tricks and that it was dangerous. He noted that Houdini practiced repeatedly while Joe did not. Joseph Burris's life ended doing what he loved, but his story remains a warning about preparation and the risks of extreme magic. His legacy, though tragic, has been remembered through documentaries like Netflix's Death by Magic and True Nightmares on Investigation Discovery. His sons, now adults, reflect on their father's passion with mixed emotions. While haunted by the loss, they find some comfort in his determination to pursue his dreams. However, the tragedy underscores the importance of safety in such dangerous stunts. It was a warm day in 1930 in Springfontein, a small town in the Orange Free State, South Africa. A crowd gathered near the town hall to watch Charles Rowan, famously known as Carr the Magician, perform one of his most dangerous stunts. Carr, an escape artist and magician, was renowned for his daring performances, particularly escaping from straitjackets while facing life-threatening challenges. On this day, Carr planned to escape a straitjacket while a car sped toward him at 45 miles per hour, or 72 kilometers per hour. The car started 200 yards away, giving him just seconds to free himself and get out of the way. The audience was eager for the thrill, but what was meant to be a spectacular show ended in tragedy. Carr had captivated audiences across South Africa with his unique performances. His range included tricks like wizardry with watches and the demon soap bubble. During Prohibition, he even created an act where he appeared to turn water into wine, amusing audiences and cleverly defying authority. However, he wasn't just a magician, he was a risk-taker. Injuries he suffered during the war left him struggling to communicate clearly, so he shifted his focus to high-stakes stunts that didn't rely on words. Over time, Carr's performances became more extreme. He jumped barefoot onto broken glass, escaped straitjackets while hanging upside down, and mastered a dangerous escape from a locked packing case known as the Inquisition. His reputation grew as he performed in major cities like Cape Town and Johannesburg, often touring with circuses. Despite his fame, Carr's most iconic act, the straitjacket car escape, faced significant opposition. Local police in Springfontein had forbidden the stunt due to safety concerns. Even a doctor warned him about the risks and urged him to cancel. But Carr was determined to go ahead. The atmosphere was electric on the day of the performance. Families, including children, crowded along the street to watch. Carr stood in the middle of the road, tightly restrained in a straitjacket. A volunteer driver waited at the starting point, ready to accelerate on Carr's signal. The plan was straightforward. Once the car began moving, Carr had only 10 to 15 seconds to escape. The timing was everything. As the car sped toward him, the crowd held its breath. At first, it seemed like Carr might succeed, but soon it became clear he was struggling. Witnesses later said the straitjacket appeared unusually tight, and Carr seemed to be in distress. The driver, realizing Carr was still in the car's path, tried to veer away but couldn't. The spectators were too close to the road, making it impossible to swerve without risking others' safety. With no other option, the car struck Carr with full force. The impact was devastating, severely injuring him and almost severing his leg. Though others in the crowd, including the driver, were hurt in the chaos, Carr's injuries were the most severe. Despite his critical condition, Carr reportedly absolved the driver of any blame, understanding the risks of the stunt were his own. He passed away shortly after, leaving behind a shocked and heartbroken audience. Carr's death shocked everyone. He was buried on October 11, 1930, in a well-attended funeral. The driver, deeply shaken by the event, paid for the burial. A medical examination later revealed that Carr might have suffered a heart attack during the stunt, possibly due to the immense stress and adrenaline. This may have contributed to his inability to escape in time. Although Carr was heavily insured, no amount of money could erase the tragedy. For those who witnessed the incident, it became a haunting reminder of how unpredictable high-risk performances can be. His death sparked discussions about safety in the world of performance art, particularly for magicians and escape artists who often put their lives on the line for entertainment. In the world of stunts, performers talk about having backup plans for emergencies. However, for escape artists like Carr, those plans are not always possible. The element of danger is what draws audiences, but it also leaves no room for error. Charles Rowan's story shows the risks involved in pushing the limits of performance art. While the thrill of danger may captivate audiences, it is a reminder that no act is worth a life. It was March 23, 1918, at the Wood Green Empire Theatre in London. The audience eagerly gathered for the final performance of the week. The star of the evening was Chung-Ling Soo, a magician known as the marvelous Chinese conjurer, whose illusions had mesmerized Europe. Among his famous acts was the dramatic Condemned to Death by the Boxers. What no one in the audience knew was that Chung-Ling Soo was not Chinese at all. His real name was William Ellsworth Robinson, an American born on April 2, 1861, to Scottish parents in Westchester County, New York. By the end of the night, his secret would be exposed tragically and unexpectedly. Robinson grew up in a family of entertainers. His father, James Campbell Robinson, performed ventriloquism, hypnotism, and magic in minstrel shows. William inherited his father's talent and performed his first magic act at age 14. By his late teens, he was touring as Robinson, the Man of Mystery. But despite his skills, fame eluded him. In 1900, Robinson saw an opportunity to stand out by adopting a new persona. Inspired by Qing-Ling Fu, a famous Chinese magician, he created the character of Chung-Ling Soo. To transform himself, Robinson shaved his beard, wore traditional Chinese robes, styled his hair into a queue, and darkened his skin with makeup. He claimed to be the son of a Scottish missionary and a Cantonese woman raised by a Chinese magician after being orphaned. To maintain the illusion, he never spoke on stage and acted as if he didn't understand English. The persona was a hit. Over the next 20 years, Chung-Ling Soo became one of Europe's most celebrated magicians, earning fame and wealth. His elaborate stage acts and mysterious persona fascinated audiences. However, Robinson's career was not without controversy. Many of his tricks were copied from Qing-Ling Fu, sparking a rivalry between the two. Qingling Fu tried to expose Su as an imposter, but the public dismissed it, captivated by the spectacle of Su's performances. One of Su's most famous illusions was condemned to death by the boxers. In this act, assistants dressed as Chinese warriors would load a marked bullet into a gun. Audience members verified the bullet to ensure it was real. The assistant fired the gun and Su appeared to catch the bullet in his hand or on a porcelain plate. In reality, the gun was modified to create the illusion of firing a bullet without actually releasing one. The marked bullet was palmed by Su, while a blank charge created the flash and sound. However, the trick came with risks. Over years of use, improper maintenance of the gun allowed residue to build up in the chamber, making it unstable. On March 23, 1918, the Wood Green Empire was packed as Su prepared to perform his signature act. Everything seemed routine as audience members examined the marked bullet and the assistant loaded the gun. Su stood on stage, ready to catch the bullet with a porcelain plate. Then disaster struck. The built-up residue caused the gun to malfunction, firing the real bullet from the barrel. The bullet struck Su in the chest, severely injuring him. Breaking character for the first time, Su spoke in clear English. "Oh my God, something's happened. Lower the curtain." At first, the crowd thought it was part of the act, but panic set in as Su collapsed. He was rushed to Passmore Edwards Cottage Hospital, where he passed away the next morning, March 24, 1918. An investigation revealed that the accident was caused by the buildup of unburned gunpowder in the gun's chamber, which triggered the bullet to fire as a live round. The inquiry also exposed Su's true identity as William Ellsworth Robinson, an American who had lived under the guise of a Chinese magician for nearly 2 decades. While many magicians and industry insiders had known the truth, the public was stunned. The official cause of death was ruled as death by misadventure. Robinson was buried in East Sheen Cemetery in London, with his gravestone bearing the name Qingling Su. The story of Qingling Su is both a tale of ambition and tragedy. Robinson's decision to adopt a false identity and the rivalry with Qingling Fu highlight the lengths he went to for fame. His accidental death underscores the inherent risks performers often take in the pursuit of captivating their audiences. Today, his life remains a controversial chapter in the history of magic. It was July 1938 in Brisbane, Australia. Dr. Vivian Hensley, a respected dentist and amateur magician, was at home with his wife and 12-year-old son. Known for his humor and talent for performing magic tricks, Dr. Hensley had a favorite act, pretending to swallow a rusty razor blade. The trick involved making it look like he swallowed the blade while secretly hiding it in his sleeve. On this day, Dr. Hensley decided to perform the trick for his family. As he began, he held the razor blade in one hand, creating suspense with exaggerated movements. The plan was simple: pretend to swallow the blade, mimic chewing, and then reveal it unharmed. But this time, something went wrong. As he performed the stunt, the razor blade slipped from his hand and lodged in his throat, being swallowed involuntarily. The playful moment quickly turned into panic. Dr. Hensley's wife acted immediately. Realizing the gravity of the situation, she rushed him to their car and headed straight to the hospital. Along the way, she tried to help by having him eat cotton balls, hoping they would cushion the razor blade and prevent further harm. While this was an unconventional approach, it showed her quick thinking in a desperate moment. At Brisbane's General Hospital, doctors performed an X-ray to locate the blade and prepared for emergency surgery. They found the razor blade's initial position and began an operation. Unfortunately, the blade had shifted by the time the surgery started, making it impossible to retrieve. A second X-ray was done to find the new location, leading to another operation, but once again the blade remained out of reach. Dr. Hensley stayed in the hospital for 4 days, undergoing multiple procedures as doctors tried to remove the blade. Despite their best efforts, complications arose. On the evening of July 9th, he developed a bowel obstruction, likely caused by the razor blade moving through his digestive system. A final attempt to treat him was made, but his condition had worsened too much. On July 10th, 1938, Dr. Hensley passed away, leaving his family and community devastated. The news of his death shocked Brisbane. Dr. Hensley was a well-respected figure, both for his dental practice and his engaging personality. Born in Mackay, he had attended Nudgee College and served in World War I as part of the 26th Battalion, where he earned the rank of lieutenant. After the war, he became a dentist, opening a successful practice in Lutwiche. He was also an active community member, serving as president of the Australian Dental Association and participating in the Kedron Bowling Club. Just days before the accident, Dr. Hensley had been preparing to present trophies at a bowling club meeting. His sudden passing left a void, particularly for his wife and young son William. The community mourned deeply. Flags were flown at half-mast at the bowling club, and weekend events were canceled to honor his memory. At a club meeting, a photo photograph of Dr. Hensley was unveiled as a tribute to his contributions. Dr. Hensley's story is a sad reminder of the risks involved in seemingly harmless activities. Despite his medical knowledge as a dentist, his enthusiasm for entertaining led to a tragic accident. His death became a warning about the importance of safety, even in lighthearted pursuits. His legacy remains as a dedicated professional, a loving father, and a cherished member of his community. It was a chilly day in November 1930 when Royden Joseph Gilbert Rayson de la Genesta, famously known as Genesta, prepared to perform on stage in Frankfort, Kentucky. Genesta was an American magician and escape artist celebrated for his daring stunts, particularly the milk can escape trick. Inspired by the legendary Harry Houdini, Genesta had performed this act many times, captivating audiences with his ability to escape seemingly impossible situations. But this performance would not go as planned. Born on March 29, 1878 in Pennsylvania, Genesta discovered his passion for magic at 12 years old after attending a magic show in his hometown of Foxburg. Determined to pursue this art, he eventually became known as Genesta the Wizard of Wonders, performing across the United States. His most famous act, the milk can escape, was popularized by Houdini in 1908 and was a thrilling illusion. The milk can escape appeared simple but was incredibly dangerous. A large metal can, big enough to fit a person, was filled with water. The magician would climb inside and the lid would be locked shut. To the audience, it seemed like a race against time, as the performer had only moments to escape before running out of air. In reality, the trick relied on a secret hatch at the bottom of the can, allowing the magician to slip out safely. This illusion demanded not only skill but also flawless equipment, a crucial element that would prove fatal for Genesta. On November 9, 1930, Genesta was scheduled to perform at a vaudeville theater in Frankfurt. As his team transported the milk can to the venue, it was accidentally dropped. The impact left a dent in the metal, damaging the hidden escape mechanism. Unaware of this damage, Genesta prepared for his routine as usual. The theater buzzed with anticipation as Genesta's assistants filled the can with water. True to his showmanship, Genesta climbed inside and the lid was securely locked. A curtain was drawn around the can, leaving the audience on edge. Behind the curtain, however, trouble was unfolding. Inside the can, Genesta quickly realized something was wrong. The dent in the metal restricted his movements, and the damaged escape hatch would not open. Trapped inside the rising water, panic set in as he struggled to free himself. Behind the scenes, Genesta's wife, who often assisted him during performances, sensed something was amiss. The trick was taking longer than usual, and Genesta still hadn't emerged. Alarmed, she alerted the stagehands, who hurriedly lowered the curtain. They opened the milk can to find Genesta unconscious. A doctor from the audience immediately stepped in, and Genesta was pulled from the can. He regained consciousness briefly and reportedly told the doctor this was his first failure with the trick. Tragically, despite their efforts, he passed away shortly after being rushed to the hospital. News of Genesta's passing spread quickly, leaving the magic community and his fans in shock. The milk can escape, once seen as a thrilling act of skill, now carried a reputation for danger. Fellow magicians, including those who admired Houdini, were deeply affected by the tragedy. Ironically, this fatal incident heightened the trick's allure, drawing audiences eager to witness its risk. Genesta's death also served as a harsh reminder of the importance of safety checks in such stunts. Ensuring equipment was in perfect working order became a priority for magicians moving forward. Sadly, this lesson came too late for Genesta. He was laid to rest in Pennsylvania, where his grave remains a site for those who wish to pay tribute. His headstone, engraved with his full name, honors the man who spent his life captivating audiences with his courage and creativity. Genesta was more than a performer. He was a trailblazer in the world of escape artistry, leaving behind a legacy of awe and inspiration.